I just feel a lot more happier, giving myself more credit, and having this kind of increase in self-worth about myself. And not only that, I think that's the thing that's gonna help keep you pushing when motivation doesn't show up that day. Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philvong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Now, in today's episode, I wanna talk about that one feeling that we have when we always talk about working towards our goals. And I think you know it really well. Did you say it? Did you say motivation? That's exactly right. When we are working towards our goals, we always blame motivation on either the progression or the setbacks that we have in our journey. Think about it. When you're not feeling it that day, you're saying, I have no motivation to do X. Or I just don't have any motivation today. We use that word so much when it comes to putting in the work or not. But just like any other feeling, motivation is temporary. It's not gonna show up for us every single day. But I think I do have a practice that can help you keep pushing without needing motivation. And honestly, it's fairly simple. It's celebrating our smallest wins. I feel like we live in a society that is always focused on big accomplishments that we can't really celebrate until we hit that big accomplishment. But what about all the small steps it took for that person to get to that big achievement? What about the small steps that you took to get to some of your greatest achievements in life? Did you celebrate those? Those are just as important as the one that you wanted to achieve. Think of it like a sequence in running, right? If you were working towards a marathon, you would run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and then run the marathon. Are you going to discredit, finishing the races for the 5K, 10K, and the half marathon? Of course not. You're going to give yourself credit because you're like, hey, I was able to do 3 miles and then on to 10K, which I don't know which the miles are. It's the small steps that we take that help us give us the confidence towards our bigger goal. So let me tell you how small wins can, 1, achieve your big goals, and 2, help with your mental health. Let's get into it. When we are acknowledging the small wins that we have, it gives us more confidence when we're working towards that bigger goal. Now I'm going to use my running example again. When you finish a 5K, I feel like subconsciously it gives you a little bit more motivation or confidence to like, hey, maybe I can do a 10K. Or think about when you check things off your list, right? If you finish one, you're like, okay, I have more confidence or more ability to move on to the next one. It's all about building these smaller steps. And as you build those small steps, it gives you more encouragement to keep going. Because when you finish a smaller goal of yours, right, it increases that baseline of like what you're capable of doing. Also, with the bigger things that we want to achieve, they didn't happen overnight, right? Success doesn't happen overnight. It takes building blocks to hit that big achievement that you want to do. And you can hit that achievement by having this amount of confidence on your journey. Without that confidence, it's hard to get that will and power to just really keep pushing and progressing. So we want to continuously build off of that confidence that we get from our small wins. On top of building that confidence, it also encourages motivation when we acknowledge our small wins. And the reason for that is because if you can do a smaller one, or a smaller building block, that means you can do the next one and the next one after that. On my fitness journey, I've been able to gain 1 more pound of muscle. And subconsciously, honestly, it gave me more motivation to work harder to get another one. And then probably after that one, another one. I seriously think motivation is something that's really hard to come by, and it's not going to show up every day. But if we kind of have this track record of saying, hey, like I was able to do this, but in a smaller version, then why can't I go towards the bigger goal? So by acknowledging your small wins, it can be your substitute for motivation when you don't have it that day. From a mental health standpoint, acknowledging your small wins reduces stress and increases motivation, like I just said. Now let's take a step back and think about celebrating our huge achievements, like maybe a promotion, graduation, hitting one of your financial goals, whatever you think is a big achievement in your eyes. What if we didn't celebrate it? What if there was no party, no celebration dinner, and you just moved on with your life? How would that make you feel? Would you feel like you did all that hard work for nothing? I think you would feel like, what was the whole point of working so hard? Now take that same kind of scenario, but with smaller ones, and if you were to actually acknowledge them. Now take that same scenario and let's focus on our smaller wins. You got one more sale than you did last month. You got one more subscriber this month. You went up 2.5 pounds in your lifting exercise, whether it's squat or bench press. Think of any small kind of increase that you can think of. Instead, you notice that small increase and you give yourself a little reward. That little reward will have a dopamine release, which we know dopamine is a pleasure chemical. It helps us feel happier, more satisfied. Not only that, but like I said before, it helps increase motivation to keep going. Now, my own content creation journey, I've seen views go up, subscriber count go up, followers go up, and it just gives me that encouraging and motivation to keep going. And I couldn't honestly thank you guys enough for all the support that you have, taking time out of your day to listen to me, to watch what I'm talking about. I just really hope a lot of things are resonating with you and you are building and getting 1% better every day with just what we're talking about here. And I'm so happy to see the community to continuously build. And that's what I want. I want the impact to increase in positivity and, all of us just continuously get better every single day together. Anyways, back to small wins. That dopamine release creates a positive feedback loop when we just acknowledge our small wins. So what can a small win look like? I've talked about increasing weight in a lifting exercise. It can be beating your 2-mile run by 1 second. It could be, getting a higher grade than you did on your last exam. It can be hitting one more, sale or financial goal, or getting a report out faster than you usually did. There's a lot of things that we can really categorize as a small win for us. I think the thing that I really should have acknowledged, that I think could have helped with my depression back then was, getting up in the morning. Because I was in such a low mental health standpoint, it was so hard for me to roll out of bed and just face life. I feel like I just wanted to stay in bed and, let all these other things like on my life just downfall, because I thought that's where my life was going to. And I got myself up and took myself to classes and, put food in my system. And it's honestly, like, I wish I just gave myself more credit in that, because it's really hard to do when you just feel like there's this negative light about how you feel about yourself as life continues to go on. So for those who are really going through something mentally and it's hard for you to get out of bed, honestly, taking that 1 foot step out, that can be your small win, because that can help possibly give you more motivation to be like, okay, this is not so bad. Let's keep on going. Let's keep moving forward versus, staying in that negative cycle and that negative mindset. These small wins can look like a lot of things. You just really have to figure out any increase or any kind of thing that really helps you progress towards your goal. It could be the smallest things on a micro level. And this is the stuff that we forget sometimes. The actions that you are taking, even on the most micro level, that is pushing you towards your goal, whether that's happiness, financial goals, career goals, whatever it is. And I feel like we forget this stuff sometimes, right? Because we're so focused on the big goal, the result, what's on top of that mountain. But you got to think about, things that are in front of you. And with acknowledging your small wins, you can do this by giving yourself a reward. Obviously, pick something that's financially best suited for you, but, just something that will help or let your brain know that, hey, like this, if you keep doing this, like you're going to get this positive result or positive feeling in yourself, getting that dopamine release, and your brain's just going to keep seeking that. So figure out a reward that suits best for you when it comes to your small wins. And just a little bit more personal anecdote of mine. I've worked in previous work environments where, we got a quarterly report done way before the deadline or way earlier than we did last quarter, or was able to help a client. And I personally didn't, give myself any pat on the back, acknowledgement that, hey, like you did something good. You did something real significant to your job. And I think that's the thing that really burnt me out, that gave me no motivation to continue, kind of being in that either work environment or keep doing that job that I was doing. I just feel a lot more happier, giving myself more credit. And having this kind of increase in self-worth about myself and more motivation to be like, yeah, I can do this. I am more capable than I ever thought I was. And for those that are dealing with like a first gen experiences, when we brought an A home back on a test, we would just get, good job and pat on the back. There wasn't really a reward for it. It just felt like this was something that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be at the top. You're supposed to be good. And there was a point where I felt like, why am I working so hard for this one grade? And frankly, yeah, there were many times that I was so stressed because I was so focused on getting one grade and there's just no motivation. But I know through obviously anxieties and stresses that I had to push through to be the best. And at the end of the day, I can only do my best. And that's why I've learned to be more happy with. And with learning to acknowledge my small wins, I just feel like I am working towards something and not just working towards this abyss or space where I'm never going to feel happy about, what I'm doing and my capabilities. We are extremely hard on ourselves and we are our own harshest critics. It's so easy to focus on the negative and, when we are just focused on, what's on top of that mountain, it can be hard to see all the great things that you have done to get there. And with our 80% of our thoughts on a daily basis is negative, which is crazy, it's hard to see the positives and a lot of things that we do and the capabilities that we do. So take the time to really acknowledge your small wins, because those are the stepping stones that help you to the bigger thing that you want to achieve. And not only that, I think that's the thing that's going to help keep you pushing when motivation doesn't show up that day. It builds your confidence, builds up your self-worth, because you're getting that dopamine release and that positivity when you get win after win after win. And please, for your mental health, it reduces stress and just kind of gives you that more positive and self-satisfaction feeling that, if you're relying on motivation, you probably won't get as often. We are more capable than what we think we are. And this helps you acknowledge that you have those capabilities to push through the hard times and really give you that self-confidence to keep trudging up that mountain. This will really help with your lack of motivation when motivation is not going to show up that day, and it's going to help increase your mental health because it's going to give you a more positive light about yourself and your life and your journey when things are tough. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode, and again, please, please, please acknowledge your small wins. It's really going to help you in the times of the days where you lack motivation, and it's going to increase your mental health because it's going to give you that self-satisfaction, self-confidence, increase in self-worth, and just give you a more positive light on your journey through the tough times. I hope you give that motivation and confidence to keep you going towards your goals, because you can do it and you're more capable than you think you are. And if you did really like this episode, please like, comment, share, subscribe, rate this podcast so that we can keep expanding the community and making a bigger impact. And as always, guys, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day, becoming the highest version of ourselves. I love y'all.